Dear fellow humans, thank you for listening and commenting on my earlier talk. One of you suggested a talk on Brexit, and that's what I will attempt today. But please remember that attempting to understand Brexit is like trying to explain an ocean to a child. It is forever changing form and color, it is very deep, and has so many components that I will never be able to address it fully. However, what I will do today is I will explain the components of Britain. What does EU membership mean? What is a referendum and what was the referendum question? And why is it difficult to implement a referendum result? So let's start. Great Britain and Northern Ireland, under the United Nations, is a political union. It is governed by the Parliament in London and has a single army. It has 4 sub-nations, namely England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland have their own assemblies and have some autonomy in decision making. The countries or tribes of Europe have fought each other since the beginning of time. However, after World War II, they started a process of cooperation which has resulted in the current European Union, or the EU. Britain, as a nation, joined the EU in 1973. At the time, the EU was only a common market. Before I go any further, you need to know the meaning of certain terms. Number 1, free trade area. When 2 countries decide to allow free movement of goods between each other, but are free to apply individual tariffs on other countries' goods, that's called a free trade area. A common market is when 2 countries decide not only to allow a free movement of goods between each other, but apply the same tariff on other countries' goods. An economic union is a common market with similar policies adopted by the members of the market. The UK is in this position. Number 4 is the monetary union. It is an economic union with a single currency. Many EU countries are members of the monetary union and have the single currency called the euro. A political union is a monetary union with an army and the ability to raise its own taxes. Today, most countries are in an economic and monetary union. There is a school of thought which says that a political union is needed to solve some of the serious issues which plague it. Proud Britain has been divided over its membership of the EU from the time it joined the common market. Euro-loving governments have got the UK into an economic union which has not got down well with the Eurosceptic group in the country. Both the Conservative and Labour Party, the 2 main parties in Britain, have been divided in their views on EU membership. After his 2015 election majority, David Cameron thought he would silence the Eurosceptics in his party with a referendum that he assumed he would easily win. Unfortunately, the electorate voted 52 to 48% on leaving the EU. And ever since, the British Parliament is trying to interpret the meaning of the referendum result. The question asked at the referendum was, and I quote, should the UK remain a member of the European Union or leave the European Union, unquote. 52% voted to leave the European Union. This is known as Brexit. But what specific type of Brexit do this 52% want? Do they want Britain to be in a common market? Do they want a free trade area? Or do they want a no deal Brexit, which means that the UK will have the same relations with the EU as any other member of the World Trade Organization? This dilemma is compounded by the absence of any agreeable mechanism to ask the 52% what kind of Brexit they had in mind. It seems impossible to identify the 52% and ask them to choose from a menu of Brexit options. If at all this was even possible, there is the 48% who wish to remain in the EU and who feel that any Brexit decision will be harmful to their interests. The British Parliament is trying to resolve this dilemma. The Boris Johnson minority government has agreed a free trade agreement with the EU, but due to geography, had to agree that Northern Ireland will remain a part of the EU's customs union. This deal has not yet received a majority support till today. In my opinion, all this confusion and uncertainty is a good thing. The British Parliament is examining each issue in detail, and MPs are taking positions often different from their own party. This is true democracy at work. How I wish MPs and MLAs in India show similar diligence in their work. If you have any questions or comments on this talk, please write it below. I thank you for listening.